Hello everybody, this is Joe the Maniac, and I'm back with more Collect-A-Thon. This time we're talking about the Nintendo GameCube. And as you can tell, this really growing a lot with this one. It's a lot more accessories to cover for this, a lot more games to cover. This one actually has a little bit more games, like only by a few more games than the NES library. And I can't remember if all the games exactly are here being shown, but what I have to show, I will show, and if I find more later that I might have skipped over, then I will put them in some kind of small update, as, you know, as I would do with any of the other ones. So, GameCube. This was actually the first system that I officially bought on my own with my own money. I remember, just a quick story for it, I used some of the money from when I was in Cub Scouts. I used some of the money that you would get normally as, like, you know, if you rate a certain tier of selling popcorn, you would get, like, a gift card or something. I had a $100 gift card from the popcorn sales that I made, and I went to Toys R Us, and I bought a Platinum GameCube. This came with the controller. I did buy the other controller separately, and it also came with a copy of Mario Kart Double Dash. It's a little tough decision between that bundle or one with Metroid Prime, but I wasn't really familiar with Metroid at all at that point, so I thought I'd go with Mario Kart because it'll be more interactive and fun. So, let's take a look through the collection and see what I've collected over the time. So let's start things off with the Platinum version of the GameCube. From what I remember in its original release, it was a limited edition version, which I found surprising because I found quite a couple of them upon when I bought it in store, but it was kind of special, and only came with the Platinum version of the controller. The yellow one I bought separately. I really wanted a Wavebird, but I knew it was a little more expensive, and in some cases, not too easy to find. And I also got the black one later on. Black one I got at a garage sale, at least one of them but the other one actually came in package. These two controllers are from Intech, and they are a little bit different from each other in terms of style, but it's basically the same. And as far as buttons, there is actually a separate button in here for a turbo that does nothing really special. It's actually better not to use the turbo. There are also these two bongos, for Donkey Konga. That's how I used them. From Pelican. I actually got these at a GameStop when I bought Donkey Konga, and I actually got a little bit of a deal on it. So it worked out pretty nicely, at least for the time. There were also two GameCube mics that were both from Mario Party games. I think it was 6 or 7. 6 and 7. Each one had a microphone used with it. I have the adapter to connect a Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Advance SP to the GameCube, usually used for the Pokemon games. And then these are the Intech versions of them, in silver and in blue. There's a 4 megabyte memory card. I still use this. This is probably one of the more useful accessories from Intech that I still use with the GameCube. Nothing wrong with it. I do have another GameCube memory card. It was the white one. That was like 1,000 megabytes or something like that. I don't have that available right now on camera. And I also have the extension cord for the Intech GameCube controllers. Didn't really work so well with any controllers though. So here's a quick look at the first 15 GameCube games. These do take up a little bit more space because of the cases, not necessarily because of the discs. So it might be a little bit harder for me to fit them all on the same table, but I'll do the best that I can. Now, some of you may have not seen the promotional disc for Legend of Zelda, so I thought I'd show you that one on the back, and you get to see the 4 different games there, and the playable demo for Wind Waker. This one came out before Wind Waker. I actually got this afterward. Next, we'll look through the next 15 of the games. This will lead us up to 30. And actually, the most recent edition, this was within the past year, was really cheap and works pretty well. So that's probably the most that I've added to this collection in years. And I'd still play a bunch of these every now and then, some more than others though. And would I play them on the GameCube and the Wii? Well, it depends. And here we have the last 18 of the GameCube games. I say 18 because there wasn't really enough to constitute another, showing after 15. So I just threw the extra 3 on the back of this one. Yes, there are quite a couple Sonic games in here. And I still have a good number of Mario games in here. A couple Star Wars ones. I really wish I got more of the Rebel Strike series or the Battlefront series. Those I heard were really good. And this one I liked quite a bit. Obviously, Lego Star Wars, because it's Lego. And I forgot to mention, or I might forget to mention later, but I really enjoyed this as a multiplayer game. If a substitute for Mario Party, this would be it. So now we've seen all the collection, and really, that's a lot of stuff to cover. I mean, not only do we have main console stuff and main, distributed stuff from Nintendo, there are several third-party stuff in here, which I have to say in retrospect is hit or miss. The Pelican bongos up here were good for the time because I got interested in Donkey Konga, but in all in all, it really isn't something that I play that much nowadays. It would be fun to play every now and then, but I don't think it's really, that exciting, that worth the hype. I wouldn't rank it as like one of my top GameCube games. Maybe just back then it was entertaining, but for nowadays, it's really, just another music game that was okay. I mean, it's not the worst, it's not the best. There were also a lot of different stuff from, I think it was Intel. Let's see one of these, if I can actually check. Intech. Yeah, a lot of these are from Intech as far as third-party stuff because it came in a large, almost like sleeve bundle where you had 2 controllers, a small memory card, an extension cable. You saw the extension cable in the front, 2 of those Game Boy adapter bits, and maybe 1 or 2 other things with it. But yeah, a big bundle of stuff that was GameCube compatible, not licensed by Nintendo, but made to work with Nintendo. And in retrospect, only some of it do I really use now. There's very little of it that actually worked that well with Nintendo stuff. I mean, the controllers did work fine, but after a short amount of time, there would either be sticky buttons, loose controls on the controller, or I think one of these controllers had like a speed or something, like a slow or auto or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly, but I remembered that if you press that, it would be pretty hard to work with the controller after that point. The extension cable seemed like a good idea for its time, but in reality, all it did was actually shut off the controller and the game that you were playing if you plugged the controller into the extension cable. It was not really that compatible, so that pretty much just stayed where it was, and I just pulled it out now just to show for the collection, several years later. Even the yellow controller, I will have to admit, became defective over time. And I think it was because there was a little bit of a strain on the wires. So I don't really use it that much. If I use any of the GameCube controllers now, I would use the Platinum or the 2 black ones. One of the black ones I did get within the past year because it was at a garage sale. It was in really good condition and it was really cheap. And it still works, and I'm happy to use it not only with the GameCube, but also in compatibility with the Wii. And maybe beyond that, it'll be very useful because the Wii U, I believe, supports GameCube controllers with an adapter. Speaking of adapters, these adapters to connect your Game Boy Advance into the GameCube seem to work okay. I do have the official license Nintendo one here, and that was one I would use more often if I went back into the games. For its time, my brother and I played the Game Boy Advance simultaneously, and using those in some, mostly for Pokemon, using those in the GameCube games. That's why, both of them became useful, but for nowadays, it really doesn't seem like an interest, and, I'd probably use only one of them, really. We have 2 of the mics here because we got 1 mic each for Mario Party 6 and 7, and as far as I can recall, that's the only game that peripheral licensed by Nintendo was used for. I don't know if it was really used outside of the Mario Party games, and that's kind of a disappointing, use for something brand new like that. I thought it was going to be used for some more things uniquely. As far as the games in this library, I still have a good time with those games. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 are probably among my favorites. I'd hate to say it, but yeah. Those are probably two of my favorite games from the GameCube era, but also two of my favorite Sonic games in general. I did mention Sonic Mega Collection, which is a nice compilation of older Sonic games, but I'm not good with those, just like as we heard in the NES one. I'm not, really that good in older games, and it would take a lot more time for me to train for them. There were a few games in here that were duds, that, didn't really catch on, or just weren't that interesting overall. There are even some in here that I haven't really played. Madden 06, I would occasionally play it just because it was there and somebody else was playing it, but I really don't know much about football to really understand the terms in the game, and as far as the controls, I had no clue as to playing it. Tonka Rescue Patrol might be the only game that I have never even played once. Never even just put it in the GameCube and test it out. Never done that. Will I change that? I don't know. I mean, I'm well beyond Tonka games, so I don't really know if that's going to be a thing. Maybe I'll try it just for fun, but not really in seriousness would I try that. Super Smash Bros. Melee is also another great game I love from the GameCube era. Super Mario Sunshine is also a good one. I'm trying to think what else was in this list. Of course, the LEGO Star Wars games and the LEGO games in general, I do like them. In fact, I got into the LEGO Star Wars games on the consoles because I had the PC version of the original LEGO Star Wars, but it didn't work well on my computer. So I got the GameCube version and, pretty much carried on the LEGO games from there. That was my transition. Mario Party games were pretty good. I did enjoy Mario Party 6 and 7, although I think I got a scratch on 6, so it doesn't really work that well now. Either that one or 5, I forget which. Cars, I occasionally liked it. Mario Kart, I still enjoy it to this day. That one's a fun game. Star Wars Rebel Strike is okay. I'd definitely like to get more into it. I'm trying to think what else was in this list, because there's so many, and I can't remember. Pikmin and Pikmin 2 were pretty good games. Did I complete more of these games than in other ones? I didn't mention with the N64, but I did complete a few of them. With this round of games, I do have more of them, at least I know them all the way through, because I'd either play them with someone, or I'd watch them play it, or I'd still play it on my own, So I do know more of these games, and I can't really say I've completed all of them, but I do have enough that I've played with these games that really, enjoyed it. The Pokemon games on the consoles were pretty good for its time. Shadow the Hedgehog was probably one of the most sour bits that I didn't expect to be bad. And that was something that I got just as it came out. So it was really disappointing after getting that game and playing it. Even the multiplayer, just not good. It's not good. Does not rank highly among GameCube games, whether or not they were actually things that I was interested in for playing. Metabots Infinity is something I don't really, I don't really play it that much. Metroid Prime, I played it for a little bit, but didn't really play that far into it. Carmen Sandiego, I didn't really care for it. Harvest Moon, I don't think I even picked that one up, but I know my brother did. And I watched a little bit of that gameplay. Jimmy Neutron, occasionally, not really that much. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, I think, is a great story. I love that one. Probably one of my more favorite Legend of Zelda games. Wind Waker, I forgot to mention it on the list, was also really good. I don't remember if I showed it here, but I have the that special collector's disc, because that was available at GameStop, and I picked that up. Special collector's disc that had Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, a preview of Wind Waker, and then Zelda 1 and 2. Great compilation for Zelda, and I'm really happy to have that one. It's a fun one to have all those games together on one disc. Codename Kids Next Door, and Spyro, Sonic Riders, it was alright for its time, but I don't think it's really shaped anything later on. But overall, what do you guys think about the GameCube? I personally like it. I really enjoyed this period. I'm happy to have the collection I do, and I think it was well worth it. And there's still plenty of stuff I love going back to on the GameCube. Whether or not I've completed them, doesn't matter. All good stuff. As far as GameCube and Game Boy Advance compatibility, I don't really care for it that much. I like it as two different things. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time with more Collect-A-Thon videos.